Law-abiding Americans spend millions of man-hours each year waiting to have their privacy invaded by TSA screeners who must subject all of them to equal scrutiny that is often ridiculous and sometimes less than effective, all to avoid addressing the real threat. Seemingly endless apologies are offered by America's leaders to people who are chronically offended and willing to threaten or use violence against us, even without any pretext. The constant apologies amount to groveling and are understood as the submission of an entire nation. So how does the Defense Department train the military following this incident? By teaching it to submit to whatever our enemy says is sacred.
To the noble people of Afghanistan, Salamu alaikum.
FBI Director Robert Mueller met with top Muslim Brotherhood operatives in early 2012 to announce that hundreds of terrorism training documents and briefings they might deem offensive would be purged from the Bureau's files, giving Islamist fronts effective control over what the FBI is allowed to know and practice in countering jihadism. The Obama Pentagon shamefully described the murderous rampage that self-proclaimed soldier of Allah Nidal Hassan committed at Fort Hood as having nothing to do with Islam, and called it instead an incident of workplace violence. As these examples suggest, more than 10 years after 9/11, we're losing, not winning, the real war, the one being waged by jihadists against America. The truth of the matter is that we can kill as many semi-literate bad guys as possible in the world's most hellish backwaters, but as long as we ignore, or worse yet, empower and submit to the toxic ideology they share with highly educated and well-spoken Islamists in this country and elsewhere, we are doomed to defeat. By allowing our attention to be focused exclusively on the danger and prevention of terrorism, we ignore the many other ways we are being attacked. Specifically, we're missing what our Islamist enemies call their civilization jihad, a form of warfare that employs manipulative financial techniques, lawfare, infiltration of our civil institutions and government, and insidious information dominance. Together, these have the effect of exploiting our liberties and governing structures against us, so that our leaders wind up imposing the very anti-American values that our enemies promote. Welcome to the Muslim Brotherhood in America, The Enemy Within, a 10-part web-based video briefing that is designed to explain why and how this is happening. It addresses a threat most Americans are unaware even exists within our country, let alone the degree of peril it represents. The threat is the totalitarian, supremacist Islamic doctrine its adherents call Sharia, and the organized, disciplined, and increasingly successful efforts such adherents, most especially the Muslim Brotherhood, have in bringing it here. My name is Frank Gaffney. I'm the president of the Center for Security Policy in Washington, D.C., a national security, research, and public policy advocacy organization founded in 1988. We've been working to awaken America to the enemy within and its agenda since before September 11th, 2001. This course is a distillation of all we've learned. It's available for free via our website, MuslimBrotherhoodinAmerica.com, in the hope of encouraging, informing, and broadening support for national efforts to defeat the insinuation into this country of Sharia's anti-constitutional and seditious program. This executive summary provides but a very brief overview of the course. You're encouraged to view as much of the contents of the 10 parts as possible, to share them with others, and to act on the recommendations offered in the concluding Part 10.
The course helps to explain and show the linkages between myriad aspects of the threat posed to America by Sharia and its adherents in 5 areas. We start by examining the nature of that threat and the most dangerous promoters of Sharia's agenda, the Muslim Brotherhood. The course draws on the extensive research and findings of a distinguished group known as Team B2, made up of 19 former senior U.S. military and civilian officials and other experts, contained in a book entitled Sharia, The Threat to America. It can be downloaded for free at www.shariathethreat.com. In Arabic, Sharia literally means the path. While many millions of Muslims do not practice their faith in accordance with this doctrine, mainstream Islam dictates that faithful Muslims must conform to the dictates of this complete way of life. In practice, however, Sharia is a comprehensive, totalitarian, and supremacist Islamic politico-military legal program. Of particular relevance to this course are the attributes of Sharia that make it an instrument for totalitarian control in the political, military, and legal spheres. These include its brutally repressive character, its especially inequitable and oppressive treatment of women, religious minorities, homosexuals, and those who leave the faith, among others, and its adherents' ambitions to impose it worldwide. Taken together, these attributes define Sharia's essential character. It's not primarily about faith. It's about power. As a result, anti-constitutional and seditious facets of the practice of Sharia can and must be prosecuted, not protected as religious freedom. By definition, the power that its adherents here want Sharia to accrue must come at the expense of our Constitution and the rights it guarantees. Any Muslim who says otherwise either doesn't understand Sharia or wants to keep you from understanding it, a practice known as taqiyya, or lying for the faith. The Muslim Brotherhood is the organization that is the driving force behind the effort to secure Sharia's dominance worldwide, and the most adept at the use of taqiyya and other stealthy techniques to accomplish it under our noses. The Muslim Brotherhood's goals are indistinguishable from those of Al-Qaeda and other so-called radical, extremist, or Salafist Muslims. The difference between the two groups is simply one of timing and tactics. This identity of objectives between the brothers and the others can be seen in the Muslim Brotherhood creed. Allah is our objective, the Prophet is our leader, the Quran is our law, jihad is our way, dying in the way of Allah is our highest hope. The course examines in some detail the Brotherhood's ominous infrastructure and operations in this country. A most important insight into the Muslim Brotherhood's endeavors in America can be found in a strategic plan written in 1991. At the time, the author, a top brother in this country named Muhammad Akram, declared that his group's purpose in our country is to destroy Western civilization from within, by our own hands, and the hands of Sharia's adherents. Attached to the strategic plan was a list of organizations the Muslim Brotherhood's Akram declared were either the brothers or those of their friends. Even today, the groups on that list still constitute the most prominent Muslim organizations in the country. And the fact that so few non-Muslims are aware of these organizations' ties to the Brotherhood attests to the success of its efforts to wage civilization jihad stealthily in America. The course explores, in turn, 8 of the stealthy techniques the Muslim Brotherhood is using here in the United States. It pays particular attention to the last of those civilization jihadist techniques, how our civil society institutions and government at every level and under both political parties have been penetrated by the Muslim Brotherhood and other Islamists. We start with the inroads made during the Clinton presidency by another top Muslim brother, Abdurrahman al-Amoudi, a convicted felon now in federal prison on terrorism-related charges. In 1998, Al-Amoudi and his cohort began hedging their bets that presumptive Democratic presidential candidate Al Gore might not win in 2000. They quickly obtained even greater access and influence in conservative and Republican circles, thanks to an unlikely partnership struck with anti-tax activist Grover Norquist. They co-founded what amounted to a Muslim Brotherhood Front organization, from which Al-Amoudi sought to destroy the right from within. To get a sense of the damage done by the Al-Amoudi-Norquist team, the course examines 6 examples of Muslim Brotherhood-associated individuals who were, as we demonstrate, able to penetrate and influence the Bush 43 team. Some of these individuals continue to operate against the right to this day. Unfortunately, in the process, thanks to the access granted Muslim Brotherhood-tied personnel and operations during the Bush years, openings were established for Brotherhood civilization jihad operations that continue at an intensified level today, within, and thanks to help from, the Barack Obama administration. Team Obama has built on President Bush's practice of entrusting positions of influence, sometimes including key government posts, to individuals tied to the Muslim Brotherhood and or other Islamist organizations. Once again, we look in detail at 6 such individuals. Taken together with other officials who are clearly sympathetic to the Islamists' priorities, including Mr. Obama himself, the danger posed by these operators' penetration of the government is acute. To provide a sense of the magnitude of that danger, the course connects the proverbial dots that are already in the public domain. We hope by so doing to make some sense of otherwise incomprehensible and even, in some cases, downright reckless policy decisions within the purview of one or more of 7 key agencies of the federal government. Finally, the course offers specific suggestions about what can be done about the enemy within. We take up, in turn, initiatives that first can be mounted by individuals, second, by joining forces with others in existing or new organizations, and third, through concerted action as citizens coming together to effect national changes that are long overdue. We close this executive summary, as we do the course, with an inspiring message from President Ronald Reagan, who took on and defeated another totalitarian supremacist ideology, Soviet communism. His words are models for us today as we deal with what some have called communism with a god. In March 1961, Mr. Reagan, then a private citizen, declared, quote, "Freedom is never more than 1 generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same, or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States, where men were free." Unquote.
I hope that this necessarily abbreviated introduction to the wealth of material presented in the course will move you to invest the time required to go to school on it. Please check out as well the various other resources available at MuslimBrotherhoodInAmerica.com. These include citations that document the facts and conclusions developed in this course. You'll also find at the site information about other materials that can further enrich your understanding of the threat of Sharia and suggestions about organizations that can help you be effective in countering it. Not least, I invite you to use the course and the discussion topics suggested for each of its 10 parts to engage your circle of influence and to enlist them in ensuring that our children and our children's children will know firsthand a United States that is free. Finally, if you found our work useful, I urge you to help make it possible by supporting the Center for Security Policy with a tax-deductible contribution. Just click on the donation button at MuslimBrotherhoodInAmerica.com. Your assistance in this way, and by doing what you can to act on the lessons of this course, will be deeply appreciated by us at the Center, naturally, but I believe by many other freedom-loving people as well.